In the winter of 2024, the Chicago Cubs front office made some decisions that kind of had fans looking like, okay. But in all honesty, those decisions, those marginal decisions, are actually paying big dividends for the Cubs right now. Let's talk about it right after this. What's going on, Chicago Cubs Central fans, family, friends? What's up? It's your boy, Mike Jones, back again here to host another episode of C3, Chicago Cubs Central. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the network. Guys, we lost all our subs, man. It sucks, but you guys are slowly and steadily coming back, finding the channel throughout the algorithms. So we'll continue dropping that great content for you. In the meantime, please tell a friend, tell a family member, tell all your Cubs people, like, hey, Chicago Cubs Central is the place to be. So you want to make sure you subscribe, join the C3 fam. We love each and every last one of you that have subscribed. Those of you that are coming back, appreciate each and every last one of you. You can also leave me a voicemail at 217-816-5498. You can also write me an email at cubsbaseball1992 at gmail.com. So, appreciate each and every last one of you. Yesterday, the Chicago Cubs did drop the game to the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks in extra innings, 3-2. Chicago Cubs did end up winning the season series against them, as well as the weekend series against the Diamondbacks. So again, that's another series on the Chicago Cubs belt. Great thing to have done with. Then we won't have to worry about seeing Eugenio Suarez anymore, thank God. Like I said, at least for this season, and we can move on from that nightmare. Now, with that being said, the Chicago Cubs, obviously we knew that injuries do happen. We knew that things weren't gonna just go swimmingly and smoothly for the Chicago Cubs the whole season. Unfortunately, Chicago Cubs did end up losing Justin Steele. It was announced last week, and he did have his surgery this past weekend. He posted on X after he had his surgery. A lot of well wishes. It's going to be a year before we see him again. And then, like I said, that's also pending how he looks once he starts trying to ramp back up. So again, if I had to guess, I would suspect that we'll probably see Justin Steele sometime maybe around July or August of next year. I would not expect to see him earlier than that. I would be shocked if I saw him earlier than that. So again, that's just kind of where we're at with things. With Justin Steele, want to wish you well. Want to wish you a big, huge recovery, and good luck. So yeah, like I said, it's really unfortunate that he ended up not being able to pitch this season. But the Chicago Cubs made moves almost kind of in plans for that. So we didn't necessarily know that it was going to be Justin Steele that was going to get injured, guys. But at the same time, injuries do happen in the season. And again, we see you can never have enough pitching in this league. There is always going to be a need for pitching. There is always going to be a need for hitting. There's always going to be a need for things like this. And unfortunately, like I said, the Chicago Cubs lost their ace early on. But they did 3 moves that I think really helped them this season come alive. Colin Ray, signing him literally has been the move for one of the best moves they could have made. Colin Ray has turned in 2 brilliant starts, filling in for Justin Steele so far. And you're not going to talk about like these are just easy starts that he did. He beat the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's who he beat in his first 2 starts. And only allowing 1 run for each team. So again, it's just one of those things where you look at it and you're like, man, this dude's pitching lights out. I really expected 2 Sundays ago in Los Angeles for the Dodgers to tune him up. I mean, like I said, they had just come off an embarrassing Saturday win, a loss to the Cubs, and I expected the Cubs to drop that game to the Dodgers. I was going to be happy with getting out of Los Angeles with 1 win, but no, they turned the tide. He held serve and did his thing, and then turned around, pitched at Wrigley against the Diamondbacks, and turned in another great start. And he did, and like I said, and he only allowed 1 run in that game also. So again, this I don't think this is just a mirage from him. I do think that as teams maybe see him more, get maybe a little bit more feel on him, I think that he may have a little bit more issues. But for right now, again, this was no blockbuster trade. This was no deal that looked like it was going to be, amazing and it was going to just, like I said, pay off dividends. But literally, that's what it's done. It's paid off dividends for the Chicago Cubs to have signed Colin Ray. He's a guy that you could put into that starter role. He has shown he's able to be a starter. He also has shown you that he also can come and eat up innings as well. His stuff has been great so far. I mean, literally, they were talking about him on TV, and they were saying, like it was just one of those things where like this guy seems reinvigorated on the Cubs because he's hitting the gun at 94, 95. He even jumped up to 97 in one of those, and people were not expecting to see that from Colin Ray. So the fact that all happened, that was great. That's great. Next move the Chicago Cubs did that is paying off right now. Carson Kelly. Cannot talk about him enough. Carson Kelly didn't have his best offensive game yesterday against the Diamondbacks. However, pretty much in every other game that he's been in, he has been crazy. His slash line right now reads 419, 578, 1.097, and 31 at-bats across 11 games. I mean, that's a type of hitting that the Cubs could have used years ago. This has exceeded what Yan Gomes did in 2023 because of the fact of how Carson Kelly has been able to do it with the long ball, but also getting doubles, getting triples, getting singles, and just getting clutch, timely hits that the Chicago Cubs have needed. And then he's also able to provide stability and give days off to Miguel Amaya and allow him the chance to rest also, and you still have a very viable catcher. So again, I'm totally impressed with Carson Kelly and what he's been able to do for the Chicago Cubs this season. I think that he was a savvy signing. Again, these signings weren't stuff that was going to jump off the page. This wasn't your big, huge signings that you're like, oh my God, like this is going to change the game. But no, these signings literally have helped. And the last signing I want to talk about, Matthew Boyd. Signing Matthew Boyd early on was one of the moves that you had the Cubs fans looking like, what the heck is this? But Matthew Boyd, coming off of injury, not really necessarily having his best season last season, but being okay, coming back fully healthy this season has been a revelation. Matthew Boyd has looked great outside of probably 2 mistakes that ended up in the bleachers. Matthew Boyd has carried himself as a legit starter all season long for the Chicago Cubs. And it's a beautiful thing to see. He has done his part, and he has helped out the Chicago Cubs team. He has limited runs. He has been able to carry himself as a leader, and he also has been able to get strikeouts when needed. All things you ask from your pitching staff, especially your starting pitching staff. So Matthew Boyd has looked great so far. He carries a 2.10 ERA in 4 starts. And like I said, and he's been masterful at limiting hard contact since joining the Cubs. Like I said, I don't know what the rest of his workload is going to look like. I do believe he'll end up seeing the Dodgers this week and probably the Phillies next week. So again, there is still work to be done. We'll have to see what has to happen. But again, I am just super excited for what the Cubs were able to pull off with these moves. These moves were very savvy moves That's probably going to be the name of this episode, Savvy Not Sexy, because these moves weren't just sexy moves. There were better pieces out there that you probably could have went and got. But the Chicago Cubs and Jed Hoyer believed in the moves that they made, and they're paying off right now. All three of those moves that they made, signing Colin Ray, signing Carson Kelly, signing Matthew Boyd, all those moves have paid off for the Chicago Cubs. So I want to ask you in the comments below, our question of the day: which signing do you think was the biggest that the Chicago Cubs made, and which one do you think has paid off the most so far? And with that being said, I need you guys to comment below. Also, I want you guys to get prepared, man. We're going to try to do another live call here soon. I'm going to try to book one out for a week. I know a couple of you have messaged or commented on videos asking for a live call. And yeah, my guess is that we're going to do a live call here real soon, within the next week or so. So, yep, like I said, be on the lookout for that. Make sure that you guys join me for that. I might try to do something, maybe, I don't know, one of those Phillies games or something like that. However, yeah, like I said, y'all, Chicago Cubs are on the move. They look great this season. 14-10 is their record right now. Number 1 in the NL Central. And yeah, man, we're just going to keep this train rolling. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please comment below. Please leave a voicemail or write me an email at cubsbaseball1992@gmail.com or at 217-816-5498. I appreciate each and every last one of you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, or until tomorrow when the Cubs face the Dodgers, go Cubs go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.